Welcome back to Quilt in Color. My name is Shalina. Today for my 15 minutes to quilt, I'm going to be working on my brand new quilt that uses up the leftover pieces of my Ruby Buttons quilt. So far I've gone ahead and sewn together the checkerboard pieces that are remaining, and now today I just need to complete the quilt top. I hope that you get a chance to sew along with me today so you can enter to win prizes. Stay tuned for the secret word of the day. Okay, I'm over here at the cutting mat trying to figure out how wide the border fabric should be. And I'm thinking, basically I can just use this whole piece of fabric. I'm not really particular choosy about that width, but I think that if I can just maybe cut this in fourths, then I'll have enough for each of the sides of the quilt. This looks about right, and I'm not sure that this is going to be wide enough. Because of the fact that we'll be adding sashing over here, and if it's not quite right, I guess I could always just trim it down a little bit smaller. And I do also have another little small scrap that I can use if I just need to add a little bit more. So that is the plan. I think I'll just cut this approximately, looks a little bit more than 2 inches, so I'll just cut it 2 inches out of here. So let me just go ahead and do that. I was going to try to clean up that edge, but I think that I might as well go ahead and clean up this edge. So this will be 4 inches here. I can cut this at 4 inches. And this at 2 inches. And this in half, so I'll go ahead and unfold this and cut it at 2 inches. Okay. So now I'll have enough to go all the way around this quilt. Now this still looks like it's missing something. To me, it still doesn't feel like it's quite right yet, because I'm not sure this actually looks like a bottle. Let me see if we can maybe add. I have this little scrap. If I add this, maybe this will be kind of a lid to the bottle. It looks a little thin, because this one's going to wind up being the same width as this, because I'm pretty sure I use this width to do this part. Maybe something a little wider. I have this scrap that can also be used, and I have a wider one too if I need wider. I kind of like this size. Let's see. This is leftover scrap here. I think this, because this to me looks more like a bottle. Like you can see here, this would be like the ridges, and then this would be the cap section. Do I need a bigger cap? That's the same as that. But I think if I did this, actually this size would be good. This size would be good. I just need to add the seam allowance to that. So I would use this to make sure that there's enough seam allowance. So this, and a clean face to show this. So this is 1.5 inches. So if I cut this 2 inches, that should be enough. I could cut it just a little bit bigger just to make sure that that I can trim it down if I want it to be smaller. So let's see. Cut this to be at least 2 inches. About 2.5, that seems fair. Oh, that's perfect, because I have this scrap of white. It's bigger than 2.5. I guess I could have left that whole section. I can just go ahead and sew this. I can just sew this to the other sides to make it big enough. So this will go here, and then this would be here. Like this, and then we'll have the sashing, the border around that, like this. Yeah, I think I like this. This might be a little bit too wide for me, but some of this is going to be in the seam allowance, so it won't be this long. It won't be this wide. But I do like this. Having a cap here, I think will make it much better than just leaving it like this, because it seemed like it was missing something over here. So having a cap, yeah, having a cap will make it much better. Okay, so that is the plan. I'm going to go ahead and sew this to the 2 sections here, and also I can go ahead and start sewing this bottom border. I found the block that I was missing from my other quilt, the Ruby Buttons quilt. So I'll probably just put this on the back, maybe as a label. And here is the perfume bottle so far. I think it looks pretty good. I'm not sure how wide to keep this perfume bottle cap. I guess we could play around with this. So it could be pretty small here, or make it a little bit bigger. This one I think is just way too big, but this actually looks pretty good to me. So maybe when I trim it, I'll trim it approximately that amount. That looks good too. So maybe up from here, another 1/4 inch for the seam allowance. And just there, I can trim it. And then when I sew it together, it'll be down here. Yeah, this looks about right here. So I'll just move it up a little bit more for the seam allowance. And I'm going to pin this so I know that this is where I want it to be. Okay, so I'm going to trim here for where I want the bottle to be. Yeah, that looks good. I'll measure that with the ruler, but I think I'll just go ahead and keep this the same size as these, just so that it all balances out. And then the other thing I need to do is to trim this sides here, and then I can just add the borders to the sides to finish off this quilt top. Now I just need to trim down. I need to trim down these pieces here so I can sew the top border, and then I need to trim down the sides so I can sew the side borders. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and trim down all these things so that I can have a nice straight border, so I can properly sew on the border. So I'm just going to straighten out this edge here, following this line and then the edge line, and just trimming off all this excess. And then on the other side is the same thing, just trimming off all this excess, following I'm just following this line here and down the edge. I guess I could scooch it over just a little bit more. It's close enough though. There's just a tiny bit of space here. Okay. So then I'll be able to sew the borders on here once I have the top border on. And this border, we decided this is kind of where we wanted it to be. Today's secret word of the day is scion. I guess it means a descendant of a notable family. This perfume bottle quilt is a descendant of the noble Ruby Buttons quilt. Yeah. Then it would be the same size as these, because these are supposed to be 1 inch finished. So 1 1/4 inch. For the edge. I'll follow this line here and 1 1/4 from this seam to make a nice straight line. Okay. So there's a nice square piece that I can go ahead and just sew the rest of the borders on. So this quilt top is finished. I just need to trim off the excess here. Normally I would measure before I sewed, and this time I just added them. And so I just need to trim off the little edges, and then I can bind the quilt. I'm going to bind it with just the same color, just to keep everything the same, and just have like a completely red and white quilt, except for the little shade of gray. So here's my perfume bottle quilt. I'm not sure it actually looks like a perfume bottle, but I'm fine with that. I'll just go ahead and press it down. Press down the borders that I added. Guess it doesn't actually have to be. Oh, it's not centered. You can see this is bigger than this side. One, two. Oh, the center was over here. So this should have been moved over a little bit. That's okay. It's staying the way it is now. So now it's just a matter of trimming these down, these extra flaps. I'm just going to trim these down so that they're all even with the outside. And then I'm just going to bind it. I don't really want to do a lot of extra things to it. And I think that this design will be interesting enough that people will just try to figure out for themselves what this is supposed to represent. Because it was just a matter for me. It was just a matter of using up this fabric, these strips, and so it's up to the eye of the beholder what this actually looks like to them, and they can decide why it was made off center, why this part is off center. Yeah, this is just this much away. Yeah, this is the center, and the center of this part is here, and the center of this part is here. So that's okay. It's just I don't know, half an inch off, and I think it's fine the way it is. I hope that you enjoyed watching this quilt come to life. If you know what it is, please let me know. I hope you had a chance to sew along with me today, and if you did, make sure you let me know what you worked on today to get an entry in the drawing. The other way to win is to use the secret word of the day. 2 winners will win a copy of the Quilt Journal. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all your support, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.